What's up, guys? Got some more Crowfall action for you today. This time I am playing the Myrmidon, which is something you do not see very often in this game. Myrmidon, as of patch 5.2, is the least played class in the game by a significant margin. To put things into perspective, I saw one other Myrmidon this weekend. One other person playing this class. However, with that being said, I'm not going to let that deter me. There are some very good reasons why you don't see a lot of people playing this class. However, there's one good reason to play him, and that's this right here. He's just cool as shit. He is the coolest class in the game, in my opinion. Look at him, dude. He's a raging bull with 2 axes. Like, come on. That's awesome. I've got 3 people on me right now, still relatively healthy. Chopping them up with my raging berserker. That's awesome. You know, the Confessor is cool, throwing your fireballs, singing your songs, and Templar with your holy paladin stuff, whatever. But at the end of the day, man, I just want to with 2 axes and run in there like a madman. And yeah, it's awesome. Really like this class. So, for those of you guys that don't know about the magic of the Myrmidon, I will quickly explain his core mechanic, which is the Berserk and Crash mechanic. So you have an ability called Berserk. When you pop this ability, all of the damage you take, you are healed for. So 100% of the damage you take while you're Berserk, you are healed for. And when that Berserk effect ends, you take all of that damage all at once at the same time. All of it all at once. So you can mitigate this damage by channeling your number 2 ability, which you'll see me do right there. That's my number 2 ability. So essentially, you are deferring your damage to a later date to where you can 100% immune it with your 2 ability. Now, that sounds really OP, and it kind of is a little bit, but that's his mechanic. This character is a tank class. He's a tank class. That's his tanking mechanic, and there is some counterplay to this. There is, if somebody uses a healing debuff on you, or you take an insane amount of damage all at once to where you can't heal for it, there's plenty of counterplay here. Also, CC. Good players are going to CC you right before you crash, but you've got some things you can do to counter them as well. One thing you'll see me do right here is that I will channel my Pulverize, my number 2 ability, at the very last second. Look at that timer on the bottom right. Very last second, like absolute last second crash mitigation. That is that's what you got to do against players that know what the mechanic is and know how to deal with it and know the timings. But this is the reason why I like this class. You're going to see right here. 4 people get on me. There's a Templar, 2 Confessors, and a Centaur that jump on me. Look at this. I'm surviving pretty good here, considering there's 4 people throwing shit at me. And I actually end up missing this crash here because of some server lag. Server lag is pretty brutal with this class. But you'll see here, I channel it, and it still hits me. That's a little unfortunate. But pretty cool, man. Even though I lose this fight, it's still pretty cool that you can do that. I just like that. I just like that that's a thing. So anyway, the rest of the video is just going to be some random PvP footage. But I want to talk about why I think the Myrmidon is where it is right now. Why it's not super popular. So it's not popular. I think the main reason why it's not popular is because it's hard. This is a hard class to play, in my opinion. It has a very high skill floor. Now, there's a difference between skill floor and skill ceiling. Skill floor is the base amount of skill you need to play the class and not be completely worthless. Skill ceiling is the absolute min-maxed optimal way of playing. That's the skill cap, as many people would call it. So, I think of all the classes in the game, the Myrmidon has the highest skill floor. It has the hardest base level of competency with the timing, with the fury management. If you don't manage your fury and you don't hit those timings, you will kill yourself. Flat out. Like, it's not like, oh, if I mismanage my pips on the Templar, I might do a little less damage. It's like, no, you mess it up on the Myrmidon, you do less damage and die. So, that's the biggest reason. Number 2, bugs, dude. Crippling bugs right now with the Myrmidon. And these are just tuning issues. These are tuning bugs. So they're redoing how dual weapons work, and there's currently a bug where your power cost multiplier is fucked up on the dual weapons to where essentially it makes advanced weapons not usable. And this is brutal because the advanced weapons for the Myrmidons add a ton of damage. So the damage you're seeing in this video right now is horrendously bad. Because Myrmidons, seemingly, from just my testing with the advanced weapons, seem to do a ton more damage when you go from basics to advanced. So you can't use good weapons. That sucks. And the last reason is Root Pull is really buggy. That's your number 5 ability, the thing that throws the net out and you pull them back. That thing works about 10% of the time if you're lucky. So when Chain Pull for Knight and when Root Pull for Myrmidon work, like even if they work like 80% of the time, that is going to be disgusting. Like the amount of power that the Knight and the Myrmidon are going to gain when those abilities function as intended is going to be unbelievable. Like, get ready, because it's going to be nuts when those abilities work properly. So, speaking of that, let's talk about some of the strengths, why I'm excited for this class. Number 1, Half Giant Myrmidon. That's the thing that inspired me to get back into playing the Myrmidon. Number 1, it's just cool. You're a half giant. The Myrmidon mechanics make you even bigger. You are going to be this giant monster on the battlefield, like quite literally giant, like huge, like 3-4 times bigger than everyone else when you have all your stuff up. That's neat. Number 2, the racial abilities for the half giant sync up very well with the Myrmidon. They synergize incredibly well. You've got Making Me Mad, 10% damage bonus that is triggered by people hitting you. Myrmidons are going to be getting hit a lot. Then you've got a 1-step stun. That's really, really good. The base stats on the half giant are incredibly good for Myrmidon. It's strength and health. Just so happen to be the 2 things you want the most of. What else they have? The iframe on Champion Blood, or whatever that racial is called, the Ultimate Warrior knockoff. That adds up to another 10% damage. So you have a potential 20% more damage. But the thing with the kicker is that the Champion Blood iframe ability, it's an iframe. That's why it's so good. You can mitigate your crash with an iframe as a racial. That is incredibly good. Like, if you know for a fact that you're going to be taking a ton of damage on your next crash, and you're in a big team fight against people who know what they're doing, and you don't want to risk it, and you want to 100% for sure mitigate that crash, you can pop your half giant racial that gives you 5% more damage and makes you immune to everything for a second and a half. Like, that's crazy for them. That's crazy for anybody to have a 1.5 second immunity. I think it's like a second. It might be 2 seconds. To have an immunity like that is really good. It's just built into the core mechanic. Essentially, your character just goes, and then you get a little bigger and get 5% more damage, right? The 5% more damage is cool. It stacks twice. You can get up to 10% more damage. But for the Myrmidon, the main power of that is the iframe and the crash immunity, because being able to have a free I win, you can't stop this crash button, especially with your meters filled up like 80%, that's really good to have. It's really good. So, anyway, what else we got here? Half giants are going to be hype. You're going to be a really good harasser. I think the Myrmidon is probably going to be the king of backline harassment, because while you are a tank, you are not as dependent on heals as someone else, just due to the berserk mechanic. If you're playing kind of like a hit and run style where you can play in a way to where you pop berserk, and then when your berserk is over, you just jump around and dance around until your berserk is back off cooldown, which it's a short cooldown. So you can play like a harassment backline role fairly well, and you've got really annoying abilities like Root and the Bull Rush, and you've got a stun. You've got a lot of stuff you can just mess with people. So I think it's gonna be pretty good at that. The damage is surprisingly pretty good as well. So all the tanks can do pretty good damage in the right moments. Knights can really blow people up with the right combos and with the right they can do a lot of damage. Knights are pretty scary. Templars can do a ton of damage with the right situation, if people are hitting into your parries, or people are standing in your divine lights and you have crazy amounts of pips where you can spam executes. But Myrmidons, you know, you kind of just get a taste for blood proc and just swing your weapon, man. Like Myrmidon, it's not situational. Myrmidon's kind of like, oh, got a proc, and you just fuck shit up. Like it's not anywhere near as situational as of damage as the other tanks are. So, yeah. Also, next strength, you have amazing survivability against uncoordinated players. This is the tankiest tank in the game against bad players. Players that aren't CCing you on your crashes, or don't even know what the mechanic is, or are just so uncoordinated to where you're running around the battlefield and whatever. Yeah, really, really good against bad players, for sure. Also, you've got a lot of really good survivability against good players. If you're running the right disciplines and you're playing safely, you have really good survivability against good players. If you're making sure your Fury is always above, 50, and you've got Juggernaut and like Escape Artist, like 2 CC break abilities to where you can, if you do get CC'd, you can pop that and still hit the crash. Juggernaut, you're CC immune when you pop that. Escape Artist, you're also immune for suppress. So, you can do some things to where even if you are facing good players, you can still hit your big crashes safely. And the last thing, which I've highlighted on already, which is Root Pull, man. 9-second cooldown. A 9-second cooldown on an ability that pulls somebody to you and roots them, or roots them and you shoot to them. That's so good, man. Chain Pull is a really good knight ability, but that's like a 25-second cooldown or something like that, I believe. I could be wrong. It's a significantly longer cooldown than Root Pull. Root Pull is 9 seconds. 9 seconds! And nobody knows how powerful this is because it's just a buggy piece of shit right now. It just doesn't work. It works like 10% of the time. The people rubber band out of it, and you pull them to you and they do jump away. It's horrible right now. But when it works as intended, that is going to be ridiculous. And another thing, I just saw this, I almost forgot it, but you have a really interesting amount of CC. You have an interesting way you can CC people as the Myrmidon that is very unique. So you have Bull Rush, which is a drag, which is there's only like one other one in the game that the Elkin's getting it, where you charge somebody with your horns and then you drag them with you while you charge, and at the very end of that charge you can knock them up in the air, and then out of that knock up you can root them with your net and then stun them, or stun them and then root them, whatever order you want to do. But yeah, you've got an interesting CC combo that not too many people can do. Again, bugs. The Bull Rush ability just sucks. Like, it doesn't do that ever. It doesn't do it right now because it's bugged out currently. So, yep. Bugs, man. Bugs bunny. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't sleep on the Myrmidon. Maybe you can take a nap on him right now. But he's an awesome class. It's an awesome class. Cool as fuck. Very high chance I'll be maining this class. I like the other stuff in the game, but this dude's pretty cool. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're interested in Crowfall, be sure to sign up with the link in the description down below. If you sign up with that link down below, you will get into the beta for free, as well as getting 5% off anything you buy. Even if you're not going to buy the game, or even if you don't think you're going to buy it, at least sign up with the link down below to get your spot in the beta, to get in line, because it's a first come, first serve kind of deal. So at least sign up with the link and get your spot in line so you're not waiting around, because the game is actually becoming a game. It's very rough around the edges, but we've got a campaign map now with objectives. They're buggy as fuck, but it's coming together rather quickly now. Finally, after like 2.5 years, the game is becoming a game. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you next time. Have a good one.